going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another episode of The Mandalorian. To talk about it here with me, we are on episode 7 of season 2, chapter 15, titled The Believer. After the events of last episode, where we get to see the badass return of Boba Fett in his armor, kicking ass and giving us pretty much what we've always wanted to see from Boba Fett, Grogu gets captured by Moff Gideon, and at the end of that episode, we find out that they're trying to get Mayfield out of the New Republic prison in order for him to help them track down Gideon. And at the very end, Din wants to go find... And at the very end, Din ends up reaching out to Cara Dune so that they can break out Mayfield, played by Bill Burr, to help them in their search for Moff Gideon so that they can go and save Grogu. So right at the beginning of this episode, we do see Mayfield, played by Bill Burr. He's brought back into the story. And if you would have told me prior to the first season of The Mandalorian, even before he was announced for that first season, that Bill Burr was going to be a reoccurring character in The Mandalorian, I would totally not have believed you. You know, it's kind of crazy to even think that this is something that is real life. You know, it's still kind of weird to me sometimes seeing these very familiar, popular faces in Star Wars sometimes. And I was really worried about it with Bill Burr because he was kind of known for making jokes about Star Wars fans. He wasn't really a big Star Wars fan, and he was kind of added into Star Wars because Jon Favreau's friends with him and, you know, thought it was funny that he would be in Star Wars when he's made jokes about Star Wars. But man, I thoroughly enjoy his character. He's fun, he's light, and I think that he brings a lot of levity to the episodes that he's been in. And this episode is no different. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed him in this episode, and I enjoyed that they gave his character a little bit more than just being kind of the funny, sarcastic guy. They gave him some heart, some depth, and I think that Bill Burr is a really great actor, and this episode definitely shows that. Beyond that, I found that this episode was very much like an adventure of Indiana Jones. Din the Mandalorian felt like Indiana Jones in a lot of these sequences. There's a great scene at the beginning of the episode where Bill Burr, like at the earlier part of the episode, where Bill Burr, his character Mayfield, is driving this big tank, this big vehicle that has a Rhydonium in it, which is what the Imperials are mining on this planet that they go to try to find out where Gideon is. And he has to drive it kind of carefully. He can't go too fast. Meanwhile, they're being chased by these people from the planet, these people who inhabit the planet that the Imperials are refining Rhydonium on. And Din is on top of this vehicle fighting off all these people. They have spears. They're trying to throw a thermal detonator onto the Rhydonium to blow the whole thing up. And yeah, it felt very much like Din was kind of inspired in this episode by Indiana Jones, as far as just like him just being on top of this vehicle, kicking ass, getting his ass beat. He felt very vulnerable. There was a lot of moments that I thoroughly enjoyed that felt very Indiana Jones-esque. It felt like one of those very fun, very hand-to-hand combat kind of adventures. There's literally a moment where he beats everybody up and then more of them show up and he kind of like sighs heavily and just gets up and gets ready to fight again. And there was something about it that just felt very Indiana Jones to me while I was watching the episode. But yeah, it was a pretty straightforward episode. A lot of action, a lot of really great moments, a lot of really great small character moments that I felt really expanded not only the Mandalorian Din, but also Mayfield, played by Bill Burr. I think we're definitely going to see him again, and I definitely look forward to seeing what they do with his character. At the end of the episode, they do end up kind of releasing him. He was supposed to go back into New Republic prisons, but they end up just kind of letting him go for what he did. And I think Din kind of saw that he's a character with a troubled past, and it kind of wanted to be able to help him out in that situation, as well as Cara Dune. So yeah, definitely thoroughly enjoyed Bill Burr and look forward to seeing him show up in future episodes. But yeah, at the very end of the episode, we see that Din sends a message to Moff Gideon, pretty much telling him, hey, I'm coming for you. Grogu, the child, means a lot to me, a lot more than you even know. So I'm coming, and this is not going to go well for you. And that's where the episode ends. And man, I can't wait to see the showdown between Din and Giancarlo Esposito's character, Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon looks like it's going to be great. He's got the dark saber, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode. Beyond that, this episode was just a great, fun, action-packed episode. Mando kind of has to go against what he believes by taking off his Mandalorian armor and ends up kind of going in to help Mayfield while he's in Stormtrooper armor. If you're a fan of Rogue One, there's a lot of familiar Stormtroopers or different troopers in this episode that I thought was pretty cool. A nice callback to Rogue One. And what I really thoroughly enjoyed about this episode beyond that is we got to see a little bit more Boba Fett action. We got to see him more involved in the story. He's not directly involved, but he has some great one-liners, some funny moments, and some great action sequences. It's great to see Slave One. And it was also kind of funny at the beginning of the episode where we first see Boba Fett again in this episode. His armor is very clean, very polished. It's like he got a new coat of paint on it, got rid of the scratches. And I was kind of wondering how much time has been between the last two episodes because he kind of refurbished his armor a little bit there. But it was great to see him in the episode and great to see him in his armor once again. There's a great callback to Attack of the Clones near the end of the episode where they're being chased by some TIE fighters and he ends up letting out a seismic charge from the back of Slave One, which anybody who's seen Attack of the Clones know that's probably one of the most memorable scenes in that movie. The sound editing in that scene was super, super cool with the way that everything just kind of goes out and then just this big blast happens. And this episode was no different. So thoroughly enjoyed that callback to Attack of the Clones. And yeah, this was just a straightforward episode where they had to get information on where Gideon was. They had to infiltrate the, Stormtrooper base. And there was some great action, very Indiana Jones-esque. And I really enjoyed the fact that Din had to take his helmet off in this episode, kind of, again, going against what he believes. And it's in these moments, this was the longest we've seen him without the helmet. We get to see that he's a little bit more of a vulnerable character, kind of being able to see the cogs turning in his head, the wheels turning, and being able to see him be so conflicted as a person just out on his face compared to what he looks like when he has the helmet on. He always seems so composed, so kind of in charge of the situation. But to see him without his helmet and to kind of see him in an uncomfortable situation, I really enjoyed being able to see Din in such a vulnerable state in this episode and kind of seeing the wheels turning in his head and, kind of seeing that he is kind of this loner, that he's not really the best with talking with people and kind of doesn't have this outgoing personality, but there's just so much that he's able to convey with the helmet on, and without the helmet, he is this more vulnerable character. So I really did thoroughly enjoy that, and Pedro Pascal is just great as the character, both vocally and in these scenes as well. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I can't wait to see what the next episode has in store. This wasn't my favorite episode of the season, but I did thoroughly enjoy it. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what this final episode has in store. I can't wait to see the showdown between Din and Grand Moff Gideon. And yeah, I definitely want to see how they end this season. I can only imagine it's going to end with a big cliffhanger. A lot of people are speculating a lot of Jedi that may appear, or one specific Jedi, but a lot of different names. Everybody from Ezra Bridger to Cal Kestis from Jedi Fallen Order to Luke Skywalker to Mace Windu. I've seen a lot of theories online, and at this point, I'm just kind of sitting back and waiting to see what happens. So, what do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen in the last episode? Do you think we're going to see one of our popular Jedi pop up in this episode? And what did you guys think about this episode in and of itself? So comment those thoughts down below. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.